All right. Thank you all for being here. All right, my name is Leon Hammond. This is my part 2 module discussion for Dr. Gardner's class. I have with me, I'll let them introduce themselves to my right, your left.
Hi, I'm Linda Williams. I'm the lead special ed teacher.
And I'm Sonia Griffin. I am the program coordinator for Mainstay Academy.
All right, these are two of my very important people here at Fayette Life Academy, and they help run the various programs we here at the Alternative School. And we had a chance to review the articles and talk about some of those 2 chapters from the book by Peter DeWitt. And we're going to discuss some of these questions here. So the first one, this introduction model, they discuss 4 key things about instructional leader must know, do, monitor, support to effective instruction and improve student achievement. So what did you think about those 4 areas? Which one stuck out to you most? Any feedback, thoughts you have as it relates to us here at Fayette Life Academy? And that was question A.
So in regards to looking at what's working with us, I do believe we have a good staff, and I think that it's very important that we do have a decent staff. But I also think that it's important that we try to keep making sure we're feeding the staff to give them the equipment and the skills they need to work with our diverse student population.
Okay. Jump out to you.
I agree. I think we do have a lot of good staff. I think sometimes our staff maybe forgets what it's like to be in a typical school. So I think sometimes we have to remind them of the expectations that's in a regular school, or maybe even how they interact with some students.
Okay. I looked at them and I thought about the first one, student engagement, and I think that's probably a big struggle for us sometimes, whether we have our students with limited abilities mentally or intellectually. That creates an issue. And then also for the alternative piece, students who don't necessarily want to be here, they're unhappy about being in the alternative setting, so they are reluctant to engage at times. So I think that one has been a struggle. And then the other one that kind of jumped out was professional capital, which is human bodies. You all have been here longer than me, so you see the staff has been reduced. So now the staff here is being spread thin to do more at times. So while we have staff members that work hard and are willing to do the work, we're just limited on staff sometimes.
Definitely. Yeah. And I do piggyback. I do think the social emotional learning needs of our students, along with their where they are in terms of academic readiness, does have a significant impact. And it's hard for our teachers to balance because they're dealing with so many high needs of the different programs in our students, and there's so many differences.
And I think maybe even our staff gets a little burned out because we're so small, they don't even really get a planning period. So it's hard to sometimes have all these great initiatives if they don't have time to plan.
Let's talk about teacher agency a little bit. So one of the things to talk about staff members willing to lead and contribute. Where do you think it is? Where do you think it has went to? Let's just say over the last 2 years. I know there's been different principals in the helm here. Where do you see that, if that changing or has it changed, good, bad, been kind of steady or stagnant, as far as teachers willing to step up and contribute to things?
Well, I think there is a consistent group that's willing to step up and contribute, irregardless of who the administrator is. But it also difficult in terms of watching what the PLC or the professional learning is. I don't see that as much in terms of, let's say, like passing it off to someone else and say, hey, why don't you do this staff development? I see you're really good in that particular area. I think they feel as whatever our district PL is, or our school-based PL, they just want to get it over with because they want to go and try to get through something that they have to do because they have so much to do. So I wonder sometimes how they feel in terms of, are our PLs effective? So
I agree, Dr. Griffin. I think they question, because we're at the alternative school in a different location, we do different programs. Is the county vision really working for us? Because we kind of seem so specialized.
I think you guys spoke about that. I think back to the PL we did with the ladies who came over and talked about the brain at the beginning of the year. I think that's one of the things I've struggled with, is trying to find county PLs we do and find ones that are meaningful that will impact us here. Because a lot of what we do, we can all agree, from a county perspective, they don't gear a lot towards us in this building. And our kids have so many different unique needs or circumstances that you're just trying to figure out how we can manipulate or alter things to fit us here. So, I mean, it's a struggle, but I think we've done a good job with it, with the resources we have. So,
Yeah.
I lean on you all.
I think you do a great job of trying to bring in new things. I've been very intrigued the fact that we're trying to do different things and keep coming up with new ideas.
Struggles. Well, the next question, there was a diagram on here. There was questions. So this diagram talked about
This one.
this one, capacity through professional learning. So it says, so we've shared that diagram about reasons someone does not do what is expected within our team. Which of these traits are strengths in our school, and which are most challenging in terms of building collective efficacy towards a common vision and goal. So thinking about some of our teachers who may be hard to work with, who maybe don't necessarily contribute in PL, not the ones who we know we can count on that always step up, like you mentioned. Looking at that, what some of these traits do you think are strengths here, and some areas that we can grow in? So we got expectations. Is it an expectation thing? Are they too high? Not high enough? Is it their ability? Are they not motivated enough, or is it their beliefs? So what do you think?
I think in the years past, the belief or the tone, the climate was set of everything was being very punitive. And they became that way with the kids. And I think over the last 2 to 3 administrators that's been here, they've really tried to change that belief of kids are going to make mistakes. Let's embrace that. Let's move on, and let's try to continue setting those expectations high, but having a belief that the kids can come here, can be successful.
Gotcha. I think that's one of the things I kind of harp on during our orientations for Horizon is when they come here, they get a fresh start. We're not going to continue to be punitive like they're here for that reason. But I can be honest and say some teachers reference like, well, that kid's here because they did this. The punishment was getting sent here, but the punishment shouldn't be continued to punish while they are here. So I think there is some direct correlation in beliefs. We've had teachers elect to resign because they said their beliefs no longer align with the direction of the school. So that's always tough, but it is necessary because I think it'll help push us forward. Do we think abilities may be an issue because we talk about professionally relevant or lack thereof, or trying to tailor it to us? Would that create a gap in abilities to be able to do some things? What do you think about that?
I do believe it would affect and have a gap, help create some of those gaps. But in my mind, I couldn't help but keep looking at beliefs and motivation more so because a lot of times how we do in life in terms of our ability and things like that, it is definitely driven by what our belief system is as well as the motivations. And I think if you have those two, I'm willing to go learn what I need to learn to do what I need to do. If I have a strong enough belief that it's worth my time and effort, and I'm motivated to get through it because I want my students to do better. So I think those two are very strong. But sometimes I do believe it's something they're uncomfortable doing. But at some point, you still have to have the motivation to say, okay, where does that's lining up with your belief system? Why do I think I'm uncomfortable doing it? Is it a lack of skill, or is it just that I don't think it falls in line with what I believe should be happening? So I don't know. I tend to move more toward the motivation and beliefs, and then I think that kind of drives our ability and our expectations just a little bit. I guess I go backwards a little bit.
No, I agree. I do think, Mr. Hammond, you've done a really good job with the expectations this year. And I know in a PLC, I kind of joked and talked about inspecting what you expect. But I think when the teachers then began to see the failure rate, that pushed up maybe their motivation and their ability to go, okay, I didn't realize it was at this rate. So what can I do? What can I change in my classroom to make a difference?
Yeah, I think that was a light bulb moment yesterday at PL with Horizon, who shared um, failure rate of students with disabilities. So we had to pull some data, and we went from, even though we have student change, we went from spring of last year, 48% of the kids were passing students with disabilities up to 83% last fall, or this past fall. So that coupled with seeing the amount of courses passed going from like 92, decreasing from 92 to 21 total failures for the Horizon students, I think there was some belief there for some teachers. The funny part was some of those teachers who are naysayers, non-believers, and non-returners, they kind of put their head down when they seen that information because it was like, okay, it's working. We can't counter it anymore with like complaints if we don't think it's going to work because we actually have the data to show that what we're doing has been working. And the unfortunate part is it's because of them. I mean, so that the fortunate part is because of them. It's unfortunate they don't see they don't see it. They still see it as want to be punitive like the old days, or and I think sometimes they lower their expectations. Or they say, well, these kids can't do this because they have that, or their parents are going to be involved. So it's like they lower the bar of the expectation. If you lower the bar of the expectation, somebody's going to try to get to where you're setting it at. So, but I think it's been working.
Yeah.
It is a little bit.
Set some very clear expectations, and I think it's working very well.
It was clear as kind, right?
Yeah.
Clear as kind. All right. So in chapter 4, DeWitt's book, it looked at social emotional learning, which I definitely leave y'all a lot, especially for y'all programs. Yours, Dr. Griffin, more so because you still have students that are really verbal. You do have students in yours that are more nonverbal, but they're still the social emotional learning piece. So looking at that, students, teachers, and leaders have changed and are experiencing more stress, anxiety, and mental issues due to challenges being faced in school. What are we doing to address it, or what can we do to continue to address it? The county sent out that form basically when we had those suicides earlier in first semester about us as staff and taking care of ourselves. Look at that, especially for our kids we serve who already come in with some type of trauma. How are you seeing that impact them, and what some things that you put in place to help your respective staff members or the staff in the building? What are some things we're thinking about doing that maybe we haven't implemented yet?
We're talking more about staff.
We can go staff first. We can go staff.
Students, okay. Because
If we don't have good staff, we can't teach kids. So we can go staff first.
I find that it's more difficult to try to find ways to help the staff than the students. And I think that's because as a whole, we sit down and we expect that we're there to help the students. And then, we come together as a group and we do a lot of treatment teams and stuff to try to talk about our students' individual needs on the program that I monitor.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to staff needs, it's so, I think they are so quick to say, I'm fine. And you're like, you're not presenting as fine. And we don't know how to say it's okay that, I don't think we know how to not be okay. There's an expectation that we are supposed to always be okay. And even with my staff, I've tried creating a little, lounge in the teacher's lounge where they have a little back massage and everything, the little stand. They did not use that room. I was like, what do you mean? But it's them not knowing that they need a break because we constantly see so much trauma with our students. And I've only recently, if I was to really be honest, I think last year, this year, starting to realize that even sometime with me, it's like, oh my God, you see so much stuff every day that is not typical in a typical school environment.
Slamming his head into the window, breaking the glass is not
right.
I saw that twice. It never
exactly.
It shocked me every time.
Exactly. So I finally realized like okay for you not to be okay. These are babies. You know what I mean? Babies, I say everybody under 18 is a baby, but it's just stressful.
We all been guilty of it. I think I found myself saying like, all right, we understand kids still dealing with their emotions, but adults, we're supposed to check our emotions at the door and press forward. That's not necessarily a reasonable expectation. Like we human, so it happens. But I was thinking yesterday, I just said this to the staff, like one of our teachers asked, if he says, I need to go to the copier, that's his like signal to say, you know what, I need a moment, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, other teachers, y'all, whether it be me covering, under John, we can go cover a class, find out what your signal is going to be so we can go help you. Because all of our kids can test our buttons here. Like they naturally can. We're not a traditional setting, but I mean, if it's not kids that thrive, it's the parents that thrive.
Right.
And then, we need to speak to the anxiety or feelings of parents that thrive, bringing medically fragile kids up here.
Yes.
They all push and test us. The staff that may test us sometimes too. We have people, former nurses and other people go away. So, yeah, what's your thoughts? You see a lot of it.
I do, and I really appreciate the fact that you talked about that yesterday of what was our trigger word or that we needed to have that safe spot. I think being mindset trainers at one time, we used to tell our people that would come in, get in your car. Don't ask me what it stands for at the moment. I can't think of it. I'm trying to think of it all day. But, you need to have those moments. I used to tell my parapro, if I ever say I'm going to get a Diet Coke, it means I just need to get out of the room for a minute. So I think we need to tell our staff it is okay. We're not going to mark you down on your teats if you say, I need a second to collect my thoughts. However that may look, as long as, it's ethical and legal in the building kind of thing. But I also am that person, we were laughing when we were coming in because we're always eating candy. We're always eating something that somebody's brought. We're all stress eaters. So I think I have to remind myself to be healthy. When I leave work, have a nice walk and do something. So I think we should encourage our staff to find a healthy activity outside of work to do that. But I also think as a leader, there are times that when somebody is falling apart so much, we might need to say, hey, we do have an employee assistance program. You might need to seek some counseling.
I've had to say that.
Right. And I've had to say that a couple of times to people as well.
And I've even had staff meetings in our section. Yes, I would like to pass it. We're going to have a meeting in a different place today, and I've taken us down to our sensory room. At that point, I just said, we're just going to do some deep breathing, and we're just going to relax for a minute because they thought we were going to have a meeting. And I was like, no, I need you to realize this is what you should be teaching your students to do, but you can't teach them to do something that you don't know how to do yourself. It worked well.
I like that.
So thinking about this real quick to kind of go to a student perspective, Linda, with you being an LEA and dealing with all of our kids who come in for an IP, really touching base and circling base with those on 504s as well. What are you seeing? You see a variety of triggers. And you can also touch on this because you're with our mainstay students or former GNET or however that people refer to it. What are you seeing and what things outside of a BIP are we trying to do, things you do, your program?
I think we see a lot of anxiety to the point, they may be picking at their nails or their skin and chewing the inside of their lips. Oftentimes they just want to elope, escape the situation. I think one of the things that I've tried to do, or I've tried to teach the people that are around me, is that we first have to build that relationship. And then I want the students to know if you start feeling these things prior to exploding, that's the time you need to say, Dr. Griffin, I need you to call Miss Williams because I need a break. And again, the student should be able to take that break without fear of retribution. Now, of course, it can't always be the same period every day and you're missing the same class and that kind of thing. Those are other parameters we have to work through. But I just see this high anxiety, high stress, and sometimes they just need a safe place to just kind of come and I don't really want to talk anything. They're just going to sit here and watch it.
Right, right. Yeah, I agree. We see that a lot in our program. Um, in addition to the anxiety and the elopement, and I just want to leave a space that do a lot of avoidance by, putting their head down, pretending to be asleep. And a lot of times it's just because they don't know how to say, I really don't understand this, or you could see the tension. We do a lot of different things trying to kind of get them in that point. We do the mindfulness activity every single morning, but a part of our program too is also doing daily social skills. It's the behavior program, so obviously we have to do social emotional regulation. But we also try to do things like sensory bags. But when I look at some of the things that we do, I also have to be realistic. I have to see how it's difficult to do in other programs. You know what I mean? And how do you mimic that need, especially in a larger environment? I think what we do well here is all of our programs have the ability to um, work within the context and the confines of our program to meet the needs of those students, although they have very different needs.
Mhm.
And that is because we have a small group.
Gotcha. So one of the other questions talked about student engagement. What does it look like in the building? And then when you all are going around observing teachers or just looking in classrooms, what does engagement look like to you? What are signs that say they are engaged, they're off task? Obviously, sometimes our kids are climbing the wall, literally. But do you think our students as a whole are engaged, especially bringing a unique perspective because a lot of our stuff is digital. We're on Edgenuity. We're not necessarily traditional means of instruction as a whole. So again, what does that engagement look like? Maybe where could we increase it? I mean, I have some ideas for me when I'm thinking for some of our programs that won't work wholesale. But what does that engagement piece look like for you? What are you seeing when you go to classes? Maybe how do we increase or get a good point for what our setting is? What do you think?
I see different things when I'm in my different classes because I, have elementary, middle, and high school. Um, I'm going to speak to the positive first. My elementary class, I love it. They are center based. They move, they rotate centers. You see the manipulatives, you see the activities, you see the one-on-one instruction, small group instruction. They are moving, and there's a different type of engagement when you see it. You know that they're learning. You can see that kind of light come on when they're doing things that sometimes look like they're playing games or something, but they may be playing a math game, and it's really just practice, but they are enjoying it. And then I have another class where I very seldom see engagement. Um, where like again, no matter what the students are either off the wall, kind of having a difficult time, or they're all shut down trying to sleep. And I would love to see engagement in there. And I keep explaining, engagement is not them just working on something. I need them interacting and going back and forth, and there's a true discussion where you can see it, but I very seldom see it in that particular group. And then in my high school group, where they have to do ingenuity as well, um, I see the most engagement when someone is kind of next to them discussing what's on that computer screen, and hey, this is how you did, and what can you do? What do you need to know in addition to get that information? Um, so I see different levels, and I think we can always improve on engagement. Yeah, definitely can improve.
Couldn't agree.
Yes, yes,
I mean,
yes.
one of the plans we've been talking about is I've had the county coordinators coming through, in particular Horizon, trying to figure out how we make it more hybrid. For example, in English, we're going to incorporate an article that is, or a novel that is not an ingenuity where they have to read, discuss, and break down. Kind of goes back to skill and motivation. I don't know if the teachers are necessarily thrilled about it because for years, those that have been here have been able to just kind of be aides in the classroom and help out where they need to help out and kind of monitor from the desk. But now trying to get back to making a more hybrid model of teaching, there's going to be some resistance. But I think the piece they got to understand is these kids, maybe not open campus, but these kids are going to go back to a traditional setting. So they've been expelled for a year, year and a half, maybe two, and they haven't had any traditional face-to-face instruction. That's going to be a hard change, and more than likely they end up back here because now I'm going to do avoidance behavior tactics and not try to do things. So again, not to be all doom and gloom, you have one side of the hallway, right side, which is very engaged, and you see most of the kids passing. You see limited disruptions in their class or referrals or disciplinary issue students. On the left side, you see more of that. You see more kids have to go into there and pop in and visit more because they're not engaging them. And, idle hands becomes a playground for kids. And if you're not being challenged, then you're not watching me do something, then I'm probably going to start to do what I want to do. And that's going to be a problem. So, for you, what's the Age Like and Thrive program?
A lot of the Thrive students, like you talked about, with the manipulatives, and they use the Promethean board and a lot of music and sound and touch. But, we have several students that use eye gates with their computers. And even so, they may be making choices, and you can really see them searching for the words.
Gotcha.
Or maybe if they're not using the eye gates, the teacher's giving them two choices. Do you want this? Do you want this? And you can see their whole body kind of go to that. So you can see that engagement.
Well, listen, you guys will be first on my list to know how it goes with we'll get a sample of it this year. I think Mr. Chatham does it. Science is going to be tough because how do we incorporate any type of real labs? I mean, we can do digital virtual labs, but how do we get to a spot where we can incorporate like an actual lab that we do? That'll be interesting to see. English is going to be kind of our guinea pig, though I worry about how the content's going to be delivered. If that teacher has the ability to do so, it's not going to be our cross to bear next year, but at least the expectation will be there for us to be able to engage in a small group setting. And again, I think some of our teachers also need to realize, like, they got it pretty good here with the number of kids. They're not, as you say, they're not rotating 25 to 35 kids in class 6 periods a day. We're talking maybe at most 8 kids in the class. And that's if the expulsion rate goes high. So, I mean, yeah, we need to be able to figure out how to engage them. So, I'll find, well, there's a will, I'm going to find a way with your support, of course.
So I think you have some good ideas because that's what we did at high school. We just looked at the different books across the high school level, and we just do a rotation. Like, so everyone may not be in the 10th grade, but that they may be reading a book that time that's on the 10th grade reading level. And we have to do it that way because I can't necessarily have this one reading that and then have that because I want the discussion to happen. So
I want them to touch a novel.
Right. I want them, and that's what they do. They have a novel, the teachers, and then they're discussing it as a class, and you can see them. When we first started, it was difficult, but now they almost expect it, like, what's the new novel? And this year we kind of did something different with this year and last year, where we kind of did another novel for the whole school. The whole program did the same novel, and even though it was super simple for the high school students, they understood the novel. So when we did the activities, they would help the younger students through the activities because they had the background information, but they still had to read their grade level novel as well. So yeah.
And really kind of the last question is more reflective. Gives me a point to reflect. What do you think teachers, this came from the moving from compliance to agency, which again is our big thing. We want teachers to feel like they have autonomy to lead their classrooms. So really, what do you think teachers feel about professional learning in the school? And what improvements could we make to make it more meaningful for teachers? And that may mean county support, providing us with those resources, maybe financing some of those things because we don't have robust budgets and PTAs and other boosters to help us here. So what would you say our staff thinks about it? And then, how could we provide them something that's a little bit more meaningful and relevant to what we do here? As we said, a lot of the county stuff on the surface is not, I think we do a good job of trying to pull pieces, right? I can't think we've ever, outside of that brain one that we did, I don't think we've ever had one that was just geared towards what we do. We're trying to find little pieces of little tidbits, little takeaways from county PLs that we go to use with us. So what do you think they think? Or what do you think if for some of the things that we tried so far?
When I read this area and thought about it, I do believe a lot of them want to have control of what they learn. And I kind of wrote some things up even going forward for my program, saying things like talking to them like, what do you really want to learn? Every year I try to do things on academic and behavior because obviously we're so strong with behavior, but I want them to try to think about it, like what are their top 3 challenges and things. So reading this and different things and talking to you made me kind of think that through. But I will tell you, last year you gave me an assignment that I do with my staff, where you told me to kind of do like, hey, what are three things that you did very, very well? And I thought that was really impressive when I did it with my staff, because it didn't just talk about what areas they wanted to grow in. They had to give themselves some compliments in areas that they've done something well. And guess what? They had a very difficult time doing that, just as I did when you gave me the activity. So I think we do have to try to pull them in and make them feel comfortable and say, okay, so what do you want to learn? And then how do we get this done? Yeah, I'm not quite sure how we get it all done, but it will be interesting to see what they come up with when we pull this out as I'm getting ready to plan for next year.
Several years ago, we had a director that wanted us to set aside time in our agenda to work on
the work.
Special project.
Yep.
Whatever that project that you felt burning in your heart, whatever that was. And we had to document time that we actually spent on that, because if you're not careful, everything else becomes more important. And so I wish I could go and do something like that for the Thrive teachers, because they're that special little niche that even special ed PLs don't.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter to them.
Right.
It's not the same thing. So I wish they could tell me one thing, and I wish I could give them once every couple of months a couple of hours just to say, I just want you to go sit over here and research or whatever and do it and work on whatever that is burning in your heart that you want to do. Educational, of course, not crocheting or knitting or cooking, but something to do with their profession, with their career. So that's been buzzing around in my head again about how to do that.
I would love to incorporate that. Maybe on the PL day we take that time instead of we always plan out so much stuff meticulously to get it done. But we say like this is an hour or two. Do whatever that passion is, but make them report back so we can see. I think it will help us learn a little bit about them too. And
right.
We may find something they can give to others in that realm. I don't know. I think for me, I thought about it like I can't say what was being done here before me. I try to share articles with them that I see and like Marshall Memorial, like get stuff. I try to share that and make that a topic of PL.
Mm-hmm.
But also one of the things we've done is like sent some teachers that maybe needed it or wanted to go to Griffin Reese and stuff. But because we're limited on budget, I'm like, you can go, but then you got to come back and regulate your staff. Right. So I think one that's on the 13th is going to be good is Megan and Tracy Went are planning one that we'll do for everybody. And it's like trauma, like the effects of trauma on students and how that manifests in school. So I think that'll be a good one because all of our kids deal with it in some way. Think about we got some crossover, same parents who have issue with student day, but that is a parent here, she's a parent on your side too. And that treatment to those kids is the same even though they're in two different settings, but it manifested in an ugly way with one kid today. And so
we could say it manifested with the other one because that's the same one a few days ago.
So I think definitely want to do better and want to do more. I think it's more challenging for us sometimes because everybody kind of gets a cheat sheet and gets help out of regular school because they do PLs that can be tied to them because they don't deal with the behaviors that we deal with. Like they deal with them and then they come to us because they're tired of them.
Right.
We are we're the alternative to the regular schools. There's no alternative to us. Right. So they were able to not deal with them by sending them here to us, but then we're tasked to try to replicate some of the things they do with a more disruptive population. And that becomes hard. It also becomes frustrating when you feel like you aren't. So I think Lisa's trying to get their buy-in. Like the lady, Miss Lewis, in your program, she sent me 3 topics that she's interested in presenting on. You take advantage of it. She's done it before. She's talked on those topics. That's free PL for us. Maybe it's good for her. Maybe it's good for us or not. Give us some feedback on what went well, what didn't go well. And somebody said earlier, it's always easy for us to find negative in what we do. Trying to find the good is hard, even though we probably do a lot of good. Trying to find that can be crazy sometimes. Like, it's easy for us to say, I wish I could do this, I could do this better or that better. But yeah, so I appreciate it. Thank you for the discussion. I learned a lot from you all, as I always do. John can be with us because he's dealing with this one right now, but that's it. I'll work on the rest of my project. So thank you guys. Thank you. You guys are the best. They're the best.